Here at Creative Solace Studios, my current project are some lessons involving 5 minutes and 5 supplies. It's meant to appeal to people who are either beginner art journals and just want art journalers and just want a sample, a taste of what it's all about, or people who want some inspiration and then want to take the project on their own further and make it into a bigger project, or just people who are looking for something short to do. The 5 supplies that we will be using today are a pencil. This one happens to be Tombow, and I will be using some circular stencils with it. You could also trace bottle caps. So supply number 1, pencil. Supply number 2 is a very fine tipped black marker. I'm using Micron Pigma. After that, we will be applying some black gesso. This happens to be Liquitex. We'll be letting it dry for a bit and then coming in with some watercolors. The ones that I will be demonstrating are from Daniel Smith. Finishing touch will be some Stickles glitter glue from Ranger. My name is Kathleen Arla Johnson, and I thank you for joining me today. To start with, I'm tracing some circular stencils with the pencil. I want to vary the sizes for interest, and I'm choosing to make some go off the paper. I'm thinking that I'm going to end up with an odd number because that always helps to move your eyes around the paper. When you have an even number of things, your eyes can kind of settle in one place. I am almost done. Okay, next I'm choosing to write some affirming words or qualities in the middle of them. I am writing these words small because I want to leave some room around them for some paint. That one's so small, I just put a heart in that one. We are halfway through our time, so I'm trying to speed it up. It is tricky to do these 5 minutes, but I wanted to try 5 minutes just to give a goal of where I'm going with this. I'm outlining the circles with some black gesso. Oftentimes I usually use black and also white gesso as my black and white paint. I don't very often use regular black or white acrylic. That's kind of my go-to thing. At this point, I'm going to give it just a couple minutes to dry so I don't smear that. I paused the timer at just about 2 minutes left. I started off by letting it air dry, and then I used a heat tool to finish up on the last couple spots of paint. While I was letting it air dry, I did change my water since that black paint was in it. We are about to move on to the watercolor with the fresh paint, with the fresh water. So the idea for this part is kind of like donuts. To paint, use some wet on wet watercolor technique with a fine tipped brush. I'm going to paint water in a donut right around the words in between the black paint and the words. On top of that water, I will drop in some watercolor paints of a couple different colors and let them blend, mix, and dance on their own. As I mentioned before, we're at the just about 2-minute mark, so let's see where we continue from here. I'm going to start with the biggest one first so I can get used to the process on this paper, and then move on to the smaller ones which might be a little bit more difficult. If I do end up going into the word or into the black paint, it's okay, but I'm trying to leave some white space in there, mostly for the visual effect of having some white. It's always fun to see what watercolors decide to do when you let them have their fun with water. I'm trying to let the original color of paint show a little bit and then have a little bit of bleeding or blending happen with the color next to it. So I'm going for both things to happen, original color and blending. So I aim for 5 minutes, and I'm also aiming for a finished journal page. So if I don't quite make it in those 5 minutes, so be it. We are close. The finishing touches are to do some circles with the glitter paint. I'm keeping an even pressure when squeezing the bottle so that it flows out in a uniform line. If you stop or squeeze it harder or not as hard, you can get some lumps coming out of it or some uneven lines. And then you can choose if you're going about these circles on every black gesso line or just some of them. So I used each color of glitter at least twice. There we have 5 supplies in 5 minutes plus the glitter time at the end. I hope you have enjoyed watching this and either creating on your own or using it as inspiration to create later.